This is Stan Bloomfield. Uh, we're in a truck stop about 3 miles north of Van Buren, Ohio, called the Sheets. I got Sarge right there, and then Junior, he's over in the passenger seat. He's chilling out too. And there's something that I've been trying to figure out, and it's why the truck companies would govern semis down to 61.5 miles per hour. Why the cruise control, when you set your cruise control in your car, whether you're climbing a hill or you're going down a hill, the cruise control keeps the car going at the same speed. That's not what happens in semis. This truck, literally, when I start climbing a hill, not a grade, but a hill, or going down a hill, the truck, it starts decelerating. And then the third topic is a 34-hour reset, and what all that has to do with a company's profit margin at the expense of public safety and the driver being able to live like a human being out here on the road. Now, the first thing I want to say before I get into it, it's if a state like Ohio on the interstate, it's 70 miles an hour down 75, 70 miles an hour over on 70. And I would love to see the DOT and police start pulling trucks over that are doing 61.5, 66. I personally believe it should be against the law for a company to send a truck into a state and that equipment can't do the posted speed limit. And I would like to see the police and DOT start writing the companies up for putting their drivers in a position to where the drivers are impeding traffic. It's the most insane thing I've ever seen. Today, I was coming up 75 north to get to my delivery point at Van Buren, and there was 2 semis. Okay, my truck has a radar, and it said that the 9 vehicles, there was 2 semis in the front and then 7 more vehicles behind them, 6 cars and a box truck. And the truck in the left lane, he was doing about 65, and the truck in the right lane passing him was doing about 65.5 miles per hour. The truck in the right lane didn't have the courtesy to lift his foot off the throttle for just 3 seconds so as the truck could get by. Instead, now I stayed back because the 7 vehicles behind the 2 trucks are the problem. One mistake, and there's going to be a 9 vehicle pileup with 3 semis involved. One mistake, and when it's a half a mile per hour more for the truck in the left lane, miles per hour, it's going to take 5 miles for that guy to get past the truck in the right lane. And all 9 vehicles were bumper to bumper because the speed limit was 70. And that means 74 miles an hour, 75, is what the police allow. All right. Again, start writing the companies up. If the truck driver's doing it, write him a ticket. All right. Now, and I understand. I've been pulling 44,000-pound loads the last week and a half. I'm not talking about the truck that's doing 55 because of his weight. All right. All right. I'll go with the 34-hour reset first. When I started driving trucks back in 91, we had what's called an 8-day work week for truck drivers. And the industry still claims that there's an 8-day work week, and it's in the paper log books. It's on my tablet. It's a lie. Everything is a lie now. All right. Back before they brought in this 34-hour reset, I could do 70 hours in an 8-day period. And I consistently was able to knock out my 70 hours in 5.5 days, 6 days. And then I would get to sit for 3 days waiting to start the next 8-day period. That was a whole lot safer than what we're doing now. Now, again, this is all about safety or corporate profit. And there's no in between from my perspective in what I'm whining about. All right? Now we have what's called a 34-hour reset or a recap, whatever it is. And at 70 hours, before you reach that 70 hours, you got to do a reset, and that means you just sit at home or in a truck stop for 34 hours. You take a break. I'm not opposed to that. But in a 7-day period, the truck driver, he can do 70 hours in 5.5, 6 days. He knocks out 70 hours, takes his 34-hour reset, and he can do an additional 14 hours of work. He can now work upwards of 84 hours in an 8-day period. So, and there are companies everywhere in the whole country that will give the driver his 34 hours off and then expect him to be right back at it for another 14 hours for 5-6 more days, and then a 34-hour reset. I've always wondered how they claim that this is a safer environment, a safer working conditions for truck drivers, because it's massive sleep deprivation, number one. And in my opinion, that's why so many truckers are psychotic out here. They're just so tired. They're so fed up with it. We've got the foreigners driving like maniacs with or without the sleep deprivation. All right. So keep that 34-hour reset in mind, and we'll come back to that. All right. Now, the cruise control. Okay. Why have they turned around and made it so as a semi that's set to cruise on the highways? Why, when you start climbing a gradual hill, would they cause the truck to decelerate? Or you're going down a little hill, the truck starts to decelerate. It's fuel savings. I'm telling you, it makes me so mad when I got the cruise set and I'm climbing a hill at 63 miles an hour and I look down and I'm at 59. Nobody's car does that. And yet, they're doing it in the semis. They're forcing fuel economy on us. Now, I was talking to a JB Hunt driver the other day. I think it was Monday or so. And he said he doesn't think that that saving fuel the way that these companies do matters. And the reason we got to talking about it was in the dispatch area, there's a TV, and they were showing all these JB Hunt drivers how they're getting 8.7 miles to the gallon. And I told the guy, I said, there's no way. My loads are 44,000 pounds. I can't even, my gas tank is just going. you know, just driving it. And I said, there's no way I can get 8 miles to the gallon. He said, well, they're doing 12,000 pound loads also. And I went, oh, well, okay. So now what the guy said and what started making this all sink in was he said the big companies like JB Hunt, 30,000 tractors, 30,000 semis. He said, when you start talking about going from 6.5 or 7 miles per gallon up to 8.3 miles per gallon, when you're talking about 20,000 trucks, you're talking about millions in savings for fuel. All right. I went, all right, that makes sense. Okay, but now we've got the 34-hour reset, which means that they instituted this, and JB Hunt's been messing around with 55-mile-an-hour governed trucks for decades now. So they implement the 34-hour reset, and they can get an extra run or two out of a driver in an 8-day work week. But that's not good enough. And so they govern the trucks down to where they won't stay at the same speed climbing a hill or descending a small hill. And I'm just, okay, that is the extent to which they're going to save for more profit for themselves. All right, now the trucks that are governed at 61.5 miles per hour, those trucks are getting much better fuel economy. Those trucks, I don't know how to prove it, but I've talked with many owner operators, and they drive their truck at 61, 62 from Michigan to Texas. And then they have their trucks governed to 75 so that they can pass other vehicles, and they get 7.5 miles per gallon. But the runs we were doing 4 years ago were about 12,000 pounds loads. And so when they tell us, like Michigan and I think Indiana, they've got cars that are allowed to do 70 miles an hour, and trucks are only allowed to do 65 miles per hour. And they're actually telling us that it's a safety issue. I'm telling you, I'm done with these lies, because about the first or second time you find yourself in the middle of or at the back of a 30 to 50 vehicle bunched up bunch of vehicles, because the first two vehicles are semis and the one in the left lane is trying to pass the one in the right lane. Just go back and think about how many pileups occurred this winter, 2025, 2026. This winter was the worst for pileups I think I personally have ever seen. And dispatch has sent 2 messages out today on our tablets, and there's a massive pileup just south of Toledo on I-75 where that mosque is. There's a massive pileup right there right now, and I'm convinced it's because of the games they're playing with the 34-hour reset, which is not safer. It's making truck drivers work 84 hours in an 8-day week, and it could be 7 days. I think in an 8-day week, the driver could actually do 84, 90, 98 hours, because in a 7-day week, he does his reset and he can do another 14. So that's 84. And then on the next day, the 8th day, because he did his reset, he can keep running. So they're getting the best of both worlds. And the driver is being forced into slavery with no sleep, no real food out here. There's these truck stops are horrible now. It's garbage what they're serving the truck drivers. And now the governed, the 61.5 miles per hour, we all know it's not safety. So I guess what do y'all think? Do you think that what's really going on is the big companies like Werner, Schneider, JB Hunt, England, and I really want to know how Amazon, how they got all of these trucks are everywhere out here. How did they become so big? And it seems like they became huge overnight. And so anyhow, what do we think? Is it really safer to have drivers doing 84 to 90, 98 hours in an 8-day week? Or is it safer for them to be doing 70 hours in an 8-day week? How much more sleep are they going to get out here? Is it safer for the public to have two semis doing 61 to 64 miles an hour on a 70 mile an hour road, and the one in the left lane is trying to pass, but he can't because he's only doing a half a mile per hour more than the truck in the right lane? And now he's got 15 to 30 cars and trucks behind him that are all doing bumper to bumper, especially if the trucks are governed to 61.5 miles per hour. What is safer? To let those trucks do 70 if the speed limit is 70? Or is the company got the trucks governed? And here's the other thing. 4 years ago, the reason I quit the Texas run, Grand Rapids, Michigan to Texas, dropping hook and back, the company came down and said, I've got to govern your truck down to 61.2 miles per hour, 61.5 miles per hour, Stan. And I said, I won't be able to do the run then. I had my truck stops, my fuel stops, everything was figured out. And I slept at the exact same spot and fueled at the same spots every day. And I'm now convinced that the companies are just lying through their teeth when they say the insurance companies are making us govern the trucks down well below the speed limit. And so, is it safer to have trucks doing 61.2, 61.5 in a 75 mile an hour zone? Or is it so's the big companies are saving millions of dollars in fuel costs? I think it's the fuel costs. And then the 34-hour reset, again, they went from American truck drivers, they went from working them 70 hours a week, legally 70 hours in an 8-day week, to being able to work them 84 to 98 hours. Is it safer, or is it more for profit for the company? Every one of us knows the average lifespan for a truck driver is 61 years. And then do some Google searches. 5,000 truck drivers die each year in accidents. Upwards of 40,000 people are maimed in these accidents. All right, there you go. Is our own government, because of truck driving lobbyist companies, is our own companies, our own government, actually causing the interstates and highways and inner cities to be so unsafe because truck drivers are just so tired, and because the corporations want more profit? I don't know. All right, I'm done. I'm done whining like a little girl. But yeah, that issue has been on my mind for quite a while. The all right, stand out for now. I'm facing an open field, and you know what? Here's a little a side note. I am so grateful that all these foreigners that are out here on the highways don't know anything else but pilot, flying J, TA, Petro. I'm so, because I don't see them animals in the truck stops I park at. And yeah, I fuel and get my showers at the pilot truck stops and flying J's. But I park in places like Sheets. And I'm not going to say the other spots. I'm just so grateful that these foreigners have taken over the biggest truck stops. All right. Stand out for now.